Alright, back again with another league challenge. This time, well, once again, I ran Charizard. However, the catch is, well, you can probably see here, I know Prismatic Evolutions is not yet legal, but next weekend is the first League Cup where it is legal, and I didn't want to go in completely blind, right? So I was still on the fence about Gardevoir versus Charizard, but I knew that if I did take Charizard, it would be the one that would have to be adjusted a lot more for the possible Budew threats. So today I took a Budew ready or a Prismatic Evolution ready Charizard deck just to test it out. And honestly, I didn't really see too much of a difference. It's very dependent, right? Obviously there were no actual Budew, so I didn't really get to test it in full, but this was the assumption that of course there are going to be some decks that don't run Budew, so will I still be able to perform against those decks as well? First, let's go over the deck list. So of course, A-Spec Grand Tree. This is very nice if you're going up against single or big basic decks because they can't really use it yourself or themselves. You do have to be careful, of course, if you're using it against another stage 2 deck like Gardevoir or Dragapult or Charizard. Of course, all of which would absolutely love to see this Grand Tree. Very important. It has to be from a basic all the way up, so you can't evolve a stage 1 to a stage 2. Secondly, this does not work with Charizard. Charizard is only when you evolve from hand. However, this can still work for your Pidgeots, this can still work for your Dusclops, Dusknoirs, which is very convenient. And if this is able to stick and the opponent can't use it, this is essentially a free Dusknoir or a free like rare candy plus Ultra Ball every single turn. Now that being said, the supporters are still the same. You have 4 Arven, 3 Iono, 2 Boss, 1 Briar, Thornton Turo. You have 5 Energy, still that usual. Forest Sealstone, Defiance Band. Your Pokemon, your tech ones are still the same. Lumineon, Rotom, Fez, a Radiant Charizard. You still run a 2-1-1 Duskull, Dusknoir line. And here's the thing, there's an extra 2 Pidgeotos now. You want 2 because again, Grand Tree also, very importantly, the cards have to be in the deck. So if you have, let's say, a Pidgey on the bench and a Pidgeotto in hand, or even if like one of them is prized or something, and in your deck you only have the Pidgeots, you cannot use Grand Tree to say, oh, I'll evolve this one from hand and this one from the deck. They both have to be in the deck to be able to do this. So having 2 is just security for in case one is in your hand or one is in the prize card, so that you should have the pair in the deck. And then of course you still have the regular Charizard line, 3 Charmander, 1 extra Charmeleon, so 2, again, same thing as the Pidgeotto. And I'll be honest, I ran 3 Charizards because I was just scared in general of, you know, missing out on them. I probably could cut down to 2. And then rare candies, you only run 3 because, again, this is a free rare candy. Lost Vacuum, so I don't run any other stadium. I don't really run Collapse Stadium anymore, and I don't want to use Jamming Tower because, again, it might be nice to keep Grand Tree there. And so if you were to bump this with Jamming Tower, you might turn off your own Forest Sealstone, you might turn off your own Defiance Band, so Lost Vacuum is a bit nicer to remove Grand Tree without, you know, replacing it with something that could hurt you. It could also, of course, remove an opponent's stadium or their Forest Sealstone or their Bravery Charm and whatnot, so this is like a way to deny the Grand Tree. This combo is going to be very important later on. No spoilers. Super Rods, of course, 2 as usual. 4 Ultra Balls, of course. 4 Buddy Buddies. 2 Nest Balls, because you really only want to get the Radzard and the Fizandipity, so you have 1 each, or the Rotom. And then 2 counter catches. On to the games. The first one, very easy. I don't really need to spell it out. But so again, unfortunately, this was 3 rounds best of 1. It was a Sunday. The shop had to close early, so bad that we couldn't play longer. I went first. I had a great start. I had plenty ready. I had a Charmander. I had a Buddy Poffin, so I had like 2 Buddy Poffins or something, so I could go like a Pidgey plus I think I had a Duskull. And then I also had a Nest Ball for a Rotom. And that was like a perfect start for me. He, on the other hand, had 2 Gimme Ghouls. He drew, he attached an energy for turn, played an Earthen Vessel, played a Pokestop, didn't get anything off it, and then he passed. And then on my turn, I had an amazing hand. Not only did I have everything I needed for an attack with Candy Pidgeot, and like multiple Ultra Balls so I could go Candy Zard as well, I could also go Candy Dusknoir. So I could just pop the Dusknoir on one of his Gimme Ghouls, and then just KO the other one, and that was like an instant donk, and I was like, man, that sucks. And I said, you know what, let's play another round as if it was best of 3, just for fun, because I mean, what are we going to do for the next couple of minutes? Camera, please cooperate. And so we did. He went first, of course. He started a Togepi, sorry. He drew and he passed again. And it was the same thing. I would have like multiple Buddy Poffins, I would have a Rotom as well, I would have my Ultra Balls, I would pass back to him, and he would have another draw pass. And every single time on my second turn, I would have Candy Zard. We did this 3 times. So we played 50 minutes, we played 3 rounds or 3 games. I donked him every single time. I felt so bad, but I was like, I don't know what to say, you know. It's just the luck of the draw, unfortunately. But yeah, I did feel bad about that. Next game though was up against somebody playing Raging Bolt, and this was like what I wanted to test against. This is what I was scared of, you know, especially because of the Teal Mask Ogopons and whatnot. Now, at the start, he flipped over a Slitherwing in the active and a Radiant Greninja on the bench. And normally you would think, this is great. I turned on the light. I don't know if that'll help the tracking or whatever. But you would think, Slitherwing, that's great. There's no Teal Mask Ogopons, there's no Raging Bolts initially, and Slitherwing has like a 3 retreat cost, so unless he has a switch card, it's going to be very difficult to get out of the active. However, my opening was a Pheasantipity, arguably the worst possible card. It is a 2-prizer, it is weak to fighting. He can KO this very easily with a 1-prizer of his own. Of course, he wanted to go second, and I think, I'll admit, I think I was able to get set up pretty nicely. I had like a Charmander, I don't remember the exact setup, but I had a Charmander, I had a Pidgey, I had a Duskull, and I think I was able to get down a Rotom. Unfortunately, I did not have an energy to switch out this Pheasantipity. However, after my instant charge, my hand was so good. Like, I don't remember exactly what was in my hand, but I remember these were the key parts. I had like a Grand Tree to be able to go from Pidgey into Pidgeot. I had an Arven to get a Rare Candy plus Forest Seal Stone for the Rotom. I could then, you know, use the Rare Candy Forest Seal Stone to go for the Charmander. I had Ultra Ball as well for other shenanigans, like maybe evolve a Duskull. I had a lot of options, right? However, on his turn, I saw him, you know, draw his stuff, attach an energy to the Slitherwing in the active, you know, use concealed cards. He benched down one single Teal Mask Ogopon, and I could see, you know, the way he played it is he drew his card for turn and immediately played the Teal Mask Ogopon. So I knew that is the only one he had in hand. Otherwise, he would have, you know, like why wouldn't he have benched it as well at the, you know, start of the game? And he attached one for turn, and I was in my head, I was like, this is perfect. If he only keeps that one Teal Mask Ogopon, as long as I can snipe that by, you know, using a Duskull or something to put damage onto something else, counter capture the Teal Mask Ogopon up, evolve into the Charizard, and then KO it. He doesn't have a follow-up after that. However, he played an Iono. And in my head, I'm like, I'm losing the ultimate turn 2. I am losing the Pidgeot. I'm losing the Charizard. I'm losing the Forest Seal Stone. I'm losing, you know, a potential Clops and stuff like that. That all goes to the bottom of the deck, and then he draws another Teal Mask Ogopon with an energy to attach to it. So in my head, I'm like, okay, well, this is dangerous now. He has, even if I do manage to get a Charizard and KO one of the Teal Mask Ogopons, another one is ready to attack. He still could only just use the Slitherwing. It was still stuck in the active, so he could only stomp off or whatever it is and then mill one card, which did suck, but that's okay. And then it was this really awkward thing of he couldn't get his Slitherwing out of the active, and I couldn't get it out of the active for a KO either. In fact, I didn't want to because I was worried about the Teal Mask Ogopons. Now, eventually, I was able to get Pidgeot, and I think I did evolve my Duskull into a Dusk Noir just to pop it on his Radiant Greninja. We both go down to 5 prizes. Importantly, my Charizard now deals 210, which is enough to KO a possible Teal Mask Ogopon, and also it removes one of his draw engines. I was able to then bench another Duskull, but notably we're down both to 5-5. And then I think I was at some point able to get the Pheasantipity out for the Duskull, and then eventually I was able to go into Charizard EX, but then my thought process was, okay, with Infernal Rain, I dug through my deck and I attached one single energy. Oh, I think that's how I got the Pheasantipity out. I attached one to Pheasantipity so I could retreat, and I attached one energy to Charizard. Because the whole math with the Teal Mask Ogopon is that it KOs only if there are 5 energy. So 3 on the Teal Mask Ogopon and then 2 from the Charizard attacking. If I only have 1 energy, Teal Mask Ogopon does 150 damage, which gets multiplied to 300, and I can still survive an attack. But I had to get the Charizard evolved so I could get the Pheasantipity out of the active, just to get that energy acceleration. Unfortunately for me though, on the following turn, he was able to attach an energy to his Slitherwing, boss up my Pheasantipity, and then KO it. He goes down to 3 prize cards. I still have 5, and I do not have my Pheasantipity now. Also, importantly, both of these Teal Mask Ogopons now have 2 energy attached because he Teal Danced on both of them. Once again, my turn comes around, and I am struggling. It's still the Slitherwing in the active. I don't really want to attack with it. I don't really want to like power up a Charizard to attack it and KO it because it's only a single prizer. I can't get a Radiant Charizard down. Even if I do, well, I can get a Radiant Charizard down, but even if I do, I would have to somehow get 2 energy on it because he has 3 prize cards left. I still got the Radiant Charizard down anyway, and I was like, maybe I can stall this out a little bit longer. I don't know what I can do. I switch back into the Duskull, and then I pray, you know. Maybe I can put him down to 2 prize cards, and then I can just have Radiant Charizard, you know, doing something. I can pull off a Thornton, something like that. I don't know. The worst case scenario happened is that he bossed up my Charizard, and then he had a switch card, which he put his Teal Mask Ogerpon in, and in my head, I'm like, haha, you fool. You don't have enough energy. So what he does is he Teal dances, so now his Teal Mask Ogerpon has 3 energy, and then I completely forget. He manually attaches from hand another energy. There are now 5 shared across both of our Pokemon, and then it KOs the Charizard, and I'm like, oh, right. He goes down to 1 prize card, I still have 5 left, and that's when I scoop like, yeah, I did not get a single attack out here. Again, mainly because that Slither Wing was in the active. This is why Radiant Charizard is so good in the Charizard deck. Having that single prizer, which is annoying to deal with, is so devastating. And then with Raging Bolt as well, even if you KO that single prizer, you know they have an attacker or two ready to get the return KO, and then you just can't outpace them, right? So that was unfortunately a loss. Round 3, this was the most interesting one because it was up against a Dragapult player. So another stage 2 deck. Here is where Grand Tree may hurt me, may harm me, may help me, who knows. I was able to go first though, and my opening was not the ideal one, but in hindsight, it was better than what he had. I only had a Dusclops in the middle. I did not have any Nest Balls. I did not have any Buddy Puffins. I did have an Ultra Ball though, but he flipped over a Lumineon in the active, and that was it. And I was like, okay. Seeing that he had a Lumineon, I was feeling a little bit better. And so on my first turn, all I did was I went for an Ultra Ball, and I did have a Pidgeot in hand, but that was it really. In theory, I could have Ultra Balled for a Charmander or a Pidgey, but there's no guarantee I could do anything after that. Even though I have a Pidgeot in hand, I would have to rely on getting a rare candy instead. So instead, I Ultra Balled for a Rotom V. Especially because since it's a stage 2 deck, I knew, and with it being Lumineon in the active, I knew I was not in immediate threat. That was my board. I used Instant Charge and I passed over to him. He benched down a Dreepy, and that was it, which was very nice to see for me personally. He did not have an energy to get his Lumineon out of the active. He only had 1 Dreepy down. Actually, he put down the Dreepy. He also had Sparkling Crystal on that Dreepy. So it was still a threat that he could attack on the next turn if he had like a Crispin, 1 attached to the Lumineon, 1 attached manually from hand to the Dreepy, rare candy Dragapult, and then he could just, you know, smack my stuff. On my next turn, I had quite a few Buddy Puffins. Also, importantly, Forest Sealstone was prized this game. This is very important for later on. On my turn, I go super wide. I go for 2 Charmanders, just as you would, but I also go for 2 Pidgeys because these are 50 HP. They are susceptible to Phantom Dives. I do not want to lose a potential Pidgey, especially because I think I had either now or after another Instant Charge, I had a Grand Tree in my hand. He draws for his turn. He benches a Pheasantipity, which is very interesting to me. Like, I saw that and my eyes lit up because I saw Pheasantipity and I was like, okay, you don't really need to because I didn't knock anything out, but that is a 2 prize liability. Because here was my thought: Lumineon KO, 2 prize. Pheasantipity KO, 2 prize. And then Dusk Noir something else, and then maybe pull up one of his Dreepy or Cloaks. Because Dragapult has a lot of HP. That's going to be tough to KO, unless I have a Dusk Noir for it specifically. But he again had no energy for turn, so he couldn't retreat the Lumineon out. And that was where things got interesting. So his turn was, he ended his board with just another Dreepy, Pheasantipity, Dragapult with Sparkling Crystal, and Lumineon. I think he did attach an energy this turn, but it was to his Dragapult on the bench. My turn comes around, and I'm ready to go on the gas. I play down a Grand Tree, but I only did this because I knew I could get away with it. Yes, it might give him a Dragapult, or even then, technically speaking, what he could have done, since he had a Dragapult with Sparkling Crystal, you can just use this to evolve into a stage 1 and then stop there. But regardless, I'm able to get out a Pidgeot, I'm able to get out a Charizard, and I think I was also able to get out a Dusk Noir. Because again, I instant charged twice. I think I had an Arvins for some rare candies and whatnot. And then what I did was, I used Dusk Noir to pop his single basic Dreepy, which meant that unless he had a Thornton, he could not use this Grand Tree no matter what next turn. I push up my Charizard, and I KO his Lumineon. He's on 5 prizes, I'm on 3. He puts up his Dragapult next. Oh, also, there was a turn in between both of these, I think, because I was able to go Charmeleon and Pidgeotto. So my board was very safe from the Dragapult Phantom Dives, which is very important. So he promotes his Dragapult. He uses his Pheasantipity, he draws his cards, and then he benches down. He goes super wide. He goes 2 Duskulls on the bench, a Klefki as well for some reason, and then another like Dreepy, I think, or something like that. And then he Ionos me, which was very scary until in my new hand of 3 cards, I saw that I had Lost Vacuum. So again, this turn he can't use Grand Tree at all. Maybe now that he has those Dusk Noirs, it is very scary because, again, at the end of his turn, he used Dragapult to Phantom Dive, put 200 damage on Charizard and 60 on Rotom. If I do not get rid of this Grand Tree next turn, he can just use it to go into a Dusk Noir, pop the Charizard. There's 2 prizes for him. He goes down to 3. And then depending on what else he does, he could have another Dusk Noir, who knows. pop that on the Rotom. The 60 plus 130 is another knockout, and then he just swings on a Charmeleon or a Pidgeotto or whatever. But thankfully though, Lost Vacuum, I instantly say, nope, you are not getting this to use this Grand Tree. No, thank you. Which was very nice because that meant initially I would have had to use Quick Search for this, but that meant I still had Quick Search, and I could then just go for a boss's order, pull up his Pheasantipity, which again, I am doing just enough damage because I was able to pop a Dusk Noir for 210 damage. I KO it. I go down to 1 prize card left, and thankfully, off of the prize cards, I pull a Forest Seal Stone. This is very important. His turn comes around and he asks to check my discard pile, and it's very important. I had 2 fire energy in my discard pile already, and then of course there's 2 attached to Charizard. On his turn, he Phantom Dives, KOs my Charizard, and then puts 60 on the Radiant Charizard. I'm now in a bit of a pickle because he goes down to 3 prize cards left. Again, that's not enough for Radiant Charizard to attack. I would need 2 somehow. And even if I could evolve this Charmeleon into a Charizard, there's only 1 energy left in the deck. But thankfully, I had Forest Seal Stone. Because remember, I got Iona the previous turn, and I think like 2 other cards, maybe 3. And one of them was an Ultra Ball. But I think it was on my draw for turn that I ended up pulling a Super Rod. And that was like, okay, well, I have that. We are golden, right? Because then I can Super Rod the Charizard and 2 energy back. I could Ultra Ball these 2 cards away to get the Charizard. I could attach, I could evolve, attach 2 for turn, Forest Seal Stone, Boss's Order, or like grab Boss's Order with the Forest Seal Stone, pull up any of these basic Pokemon, and then just go for that 1 prizer. I can't remember exactly, but I think I didn't have one of these. I think I didn't have the Ultra Ball or something, because I needed to use both Quick Search and Forest Seal Stone, and the Super Rod that I had to draw to be able to get everything. But yeah, that was those 3 games. Again, the first game was a bit of a fluke. The second game, I think it was just a bad situation of the Iona really screwing me over. And the fact that I started with Pheasantipity, which again is why I'm sad that it was best of 1s. But next week it is going to be best of 3 of the cup. I'm still uncertain though, if I want to play Charizard or Gardevoir. But I remember while I was there, I was asking people, oh, what have people been playing on that side? Because it's a bit out of town for me. And they were saying, lots of Charizards, of course, the League Battle deck, lots of Raging Bolts, and lots of Dragapults. So with that knowledge, I was very, concerned. Like, if I do play Charizard with this Grand Tree, I might run into a lot of Dragapults that can use this as well. Again, I got very lucky that I had the Lost Vacuum after the Iono. There is, of course, always the threat of everyone playing Raging Bolt with the Teal Mask Ogopons. There's, of course, the threat of Regidrago, which also has Teal Mask Ogopon, I guess. So one option I'm thinking of is maybe I'm going to play Gardevoir. I don't know if I'll include the Budew in it myself, because maybe just the threat of a Budew is enough that all the decks there will be playing a little bit slower in general because they might tech for it. But I think it might be a bit safer. But as for the prizes though, firstly, we have some new play-stamped cards, a Rescue Board, a Festival Grounds, and a Pidgey. And now you might be thinking, oh, but it's the 50 HP one. It's, it's vulnerable to Dusclops, it's vulnerable to Dragapult, which yes, it's true. But I think it's very nice that in this Budew format with Prismatic Evolutions, the Call for Family attack could be pretty nice. If they Budew you and you have nothing you can do, at least you can maybe Call for Family and, bench down a Pheasantipity, a Rotom, some Charmanders, another Pidgey if you need. It at least gets you a Buddy Poffin as a possible out. But as for the prize packs, we have a Paradox Rift and a 2 5s and a 4. Again, let's work our way chronologically up. But here is the code card, an Arizu, a Beach Court, a Revavroom. Oh hey, that's a possible new draw engine once things rotate. Maybe put it in our Chaladon deck, an Iono, a Clavel, and a Fire Energy. I'm really sorry, I don't know why the camera is so jittery today. A Professor Sada's Vitality, Salvatore, a Garganical, a Future Booster Energy Capsule, a Hollow Water, and then a regular Steel. Or Metal, sorry. Code card. Another Iono. Professor Turo Scenario. A Fluttermane. Oh, maybe this is a sign for Gardevoir. A Counter Catcher, a foil one as well. TM Evolution. Okay, are they really trying to push me to play Gardevoir that much? What's next to Curlia? Oh, there's a Water Energy. Code card. A Toxel. Oh my goodness, these are all brand new and shiny I've never seen before. A Spinder, Tangled Feet. If this Pokemon is confused and is damaged by an attack, put a coin and prevent the damage. Oh, and it can confuse itself, of course. A Nimble with a Flop. An Elekid. Ooh, baby. Crackling Shot. This attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Ooh. Is this going to be the counter to Budew? A Rourke. Draw 2 cards, put a basic energy from your discard into your hand. A Minior. A Simipour. A lot of abilities here. I mean, the fact that it only does 50 is not really that great anyway. A Mienfoo. Oh, hell. Oh, this is nice. The Swablu. Oh, this is actually one of my, well, not really one of my favorite, but like, I really like the Altaria line as well. That's okay. If I'm not mistaken as well, it's very cute that you have the Swablu and the little Wingull next to it. And then I think the Altaria... Oh, why is it so dark? The sun's gone now. Let there be light. The Altaria is the evolved version, of course. And then it's still flying with the Swablu. It's kind of like a ugly duckling situation. That's very nice. And a Zekrom. Alright. I'm happy. I wasn't expecting anything out of that Paradox Rift, but I got a card that, 1, is very pretty, and 2, I actually like. Hopefully, all of your preparations for Prismatic Evolutions are going well as well. And I will see you all next week when I will probably do a recap on the League Cup. Tune in next time to see if I stick with the Dark Side Charizard or if I turn over or go back to my roots as a Gardevoir player. Until then, bye-bye.